So I needed to add a little thought from my last hunt in the Gothi Wildlife Management Area. If you saw the last video, I talked about the thickness of the cover. I talked about the vastness of the longleaf pine and the gallberry and the saw palmetto, that it almost seemed like an ocean of habitat in the Flatwoods. In Gothi, they've got the Gothi Wildlife Management Area. They have trails, access trails that go in every direction like a jigsaw puzzle. They go in every direction, which gives you lots of access and lots of places to explore. And of course, I like that. I love it. And yeah, it's a unique place to be able to venture off and see what you can find and see what you can discover. And of course, I always go onto my computer. My name's Peter Updike, and this is the Wild Treasures of an Outdoorsman YouTube channel. And we're talking about the Gothi Wildlife Management Area. I go to my computer and do a little survey on the aerial maps and look, and you can see those trails. And you can see the habitat, and if you've been there, you can identify with the aerial photo one habitat for another. There's dome cypress. There is, again, the longleaf pine upland type habitat, and then there's the cabbage palm swamp. And these three different habitats kind of intermingle with each other and kind of entwine through the whole management area. Now I'm hunting the south end because, again, as I preach often, I preach hunt the area that's closest to your home. So that's exactly what I did. The area that I can access from my home is the south end of it. When I come up from the north, from the south, I come north, and then boom, I'm passing management area. And I'm not going to pass up management area to go all the way to the north end. I'm going to hunt wherever I come into it, and I'm going to pick a spot. Like I practice everything I preach to you guys. If I say, just if you've never hunted a management area, just pick a spot and expand your search from there. So that's exactly what I did 4 years ago. I just picked a spot. And I began to expand my search. And of course, the first time I went was on an archery hunt. And I just did some driving around, and I did a little hunting, but not too much. I had a muzzleloader hunt. So I wanted to scout it before I got there. Of course, I went on an archery hunt, and I found those access trails. I got so excited. So I went down some of those access trails and decided I'm going through these thoughts in my head right now, so I'm going to jump from topic to topic, try and keep up. When I was a kid growing up, the big thing was to hunt the swamp. If you want to kill a big buck, hunt the swamp. And of course, I've been a Florida swamp hunter my entire life. I've hunted in the Green Swamp, I've hunted in the Withlacoochee Swamp, and just the Astor Swamp, and just St. John's River, and just all over wherever the swamp is found. Yeah, I've hunted it. And Lake Tracy Swamp and the Wakaiva Swamp, and Florida's full of them. And that's where we were always taught to hunt, that the biggest bucks and the most deer live in the swamp. And I kind of began to question as I hunted down through the years, and I began to wonder. I said, you know what? I bet you that's just hearsay. I bet it's just an old wives' tale. I bet it's not true. And I'm going to start hunting more and more the Flatwoods. I'm going to start hunting more and more the upland areas, the higher ground, pine trees and palmetto flats. I'm going to start looking into other places and expanding my experience. And of course, in Ocala, I hunted the St. John's River and the Astor Swamp. I killed my first deer in the Astor Swamp. That was like in 1978 or something, man, a long time ago. But again, I was in the swamp. And the more I hunted, the more I learned to enjoy the peace and quiet of the scrub. And most of the swamp areas there near my home was dog hunt area, and I moved out of the dog hunt area simply because that's not the kind of hunt that I was after. I was after peace and quiet in a tree stand, and I'm not putting down the dog hunting. That's what I was after. So I started hunting Hopkins Prairie, and I never looked back. I love Hopkins Prairie, but it's not the swamp. And I killed a real nice buck. I've killed a couple of nice bucks there in Hopkins Prairie, and pretty much resolved that the Flatwoods was where I wanted to hunt. Down through these years, I kind of made a switch after Wahoo Swamp, Jumper Creek Swamp. I hunted all those swamps. I got swamp deer, the Half Moon Swamp. Yeah, I've got 10 point from the Half Moon, and I've got these other ones from Wahoo Swamp, and I was going to hunt the Flatwoods. Well, this past week, I made a little discovery hunting there in Gothey. When I hunted Gothey for the first time, I hunted the Flatwoods. I found areas, and the first time I muzzleloader hunted it, like I said in the other video, I seen a buck and I seen some does. Didn't get an opportunity on the buck, but I said, man, I think I'm onto something. And then and that was 3 years ago. I think I've hunted it 4 or 5 times since, and I haven't seen a deer since. Well, this past week, I decided I would hunt the edge of where the Flatwoods comes up to the swamp. That I was going to hunt the transition where that habitat changes. I thought, well, maybe I should try that. So I did, and of course, you understood and heard me say that the habitat was so thick and so dense and so tall that it made it almost nearly impossible to hunt. I was walking around back there with my tree stand trying to find a suitable place to put my climber, and it was a real challenge. And I finally found a spot, and a little spot where I could see. And of course, I had the encounter with the hogs that I wasn't able to capitalize on because the cover was so thick. Them pigs were rooting around underneath all of the cover. I was up in my tree stand. I couldn't see the first one. When I finally got an opportunity, it came and went so fast that it just, I don't like opportunities like that. I like to decide whether or not I want to shoot something before I pull the trigger. And but by the time I decided, I think I will shoot that sow, she was back in the cover and gone. And I got down from my tree stand about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was going to start headed home. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to walk back. Now, keep in mind, for the past 3 years, I've been hunting in the Flatwoods. I would see a sawgrass pond or I see an open area, and I would venture off into that sawgrass and open area. And I thought it was quite peculiar. And the same 2 hunts this week, I did the same thing. All the time when I'm going back to the truck, I am looking. I see an open area, I stop, I walk back in there, and I look, right? Provided I know that there's nobody back there hunting, there's no other people up there. I didn't see any other hunters these past 2 days. Nobody. I had the whole place. I felt like I had the whole place to myself. But I found it odd. I saw very few tracks in the area I was hunting. I saw some tracks, but very few tracks. And I saw 0 rubs and 0 scrapes. And it troubled me a little bit. And I got down out of my stand and I walked back towards the cabbage palm swamp. And I walked through some head-high palmettos, and I got back in there, and it opened up a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit. If I had carried my tree stand into that portion of those woods, that swamp, I could have found a place to put it. By the time I got there, I was so exhausted. I'd been dragging that deer buggy. I bet I walked several miles trying to find a suitable place, again, because the habitat and the understory was so tall you couldn't see anything. So I went back in there and got back in that cabbage palm swamp, and I wasn't back there 2 minutes, and I saw several dandy rubs right in that cabbage palm swamp. So let that be a lesson to me that maybe the cabbage palm might be the ticket for hunting that management area. I've got another year before I can find out. I don't know. I was so sold out to hunt the Flatwoods, convinced that when I hunted it 3 years ago, the habitat wasn't so growed up, but now it's overhead high. And I would set up my tree stand where I could see down those long trails. If I could see down those long trails, maybe they'd give me a chance, but I never saw the first deer. So I think next time, a year from now, I'm going to remember this. When I hunt the Gothi Wildlife Management Area, I think I'm going to try the Cabbage Palm Swamp. I think I'm going to hunt as best in there as I can get. If you get a lot of rain in the summertime, it's nearly impossible. One year I waded through water that was knee deep. My boots were full of water, and it was just miserable. Every 10, 15 yards was just flooded. Then you'd get up back on an area and it was dry, and you walk, and then it was another flooded portion of that access trail, and it was 30, 40 yards long sometimes, and you'd wade through that water, and it was just not a fun experience, but it's just the way it is. And if you're going to hunt, you're going to have to learn to adapt to those things. But man, the water is deep and it's noisy. Yeah, it's a tough place to hunt. But yeah, I'm going to go back and we'll try again. That's just something that came to me today, that, you know what, maybe there is something to this swamp buck thing. I did not see a single rub, scrape, or decent track in the Flatwoods area of Gothi. Not to say that it doesn't occur other places, but I'm saying I think I'm going to go to the Cabbage Palm Swamp and see if I can change my luck. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.